you are dealing with hair loss, perimenopause, or menopause, today's video is for you. So, today we welcome back Robin, our resident nutritionist, to talk about 13 superfoods that can help us on this healing journey. It's an amazing video. Watch to the end, share it, let everyone know, and so we can help as many people as possible. Also, I'm so excited to share that I created a recipe guide, really like a companion guide of the superfoods that are mentioned in this video. So there's about 10 or 11 recipes that you can use. It's free. So go in the description box, click on the link. It'll take you to the site where you can get a copy of the recipe guide. Plus, if you're inclined, if you'd like to give, you can give $3, $5, $7. Any amount that you can give will go a long way in helping to support the channel and helping me to continue to be able to provide content. So enjoy the video. I'll see you soon.
Hi, everyone. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. So today we are excited to welcome back Robin Muhammad, Robin the nutritionist. Yay, welcome, Robin. And so Robin did a video just a couple of weeks ago on vitamin D, which has been amazing. It's giving a lot of great information to others. And so when Robin and I met initially, we had already agreed up front that she was going to share about nutrition. And so that's what this video is about today. So especially for those of you who have emailed me in the past or texted me or reached out about wanting more information about nutrition. And I wanted to make sure we got a nutritionist here. And so Robin is here. Robin is a wife, a mother, an entrepreneur. She's the founder of Necessary Nutrition. She is a certified nutrition specialist and has inspired thousands of women to use food and nutrition to build and repair their bodies. And so today she's going to share her expertise with us. As always, grab your beverage of choice, a pen, a notepad, and let's get started.
Let's get started. Thank you so much for having me back again. I really appreciate the opportunity to share this knowledge. Today, we're going to talk about health, hair, and menopause. And perimenopause is incorporated in that. And then actually post-menopause. So when people think menopause, they think, okay, after my cycle has stopped, I'm done. No, you're done with your cycle, but you're not done with the after effects of it.
That's good.
I am a nutritionist, so food is my specialty. So I'm going to talk about the superfoods that are going to help you in this journey, the pause phase, but it's also beneficial for your hair. So I'm going to give you about 13 foods that you want to have in your diet on a daily if you are, I'm going to say, a woman over 40. Okay. So grab your notepads and write these foods down. Some of the foods you're going to say, oh my gosh, I love that food. And then some of them are like, I don't eat that. Then don't eat that. just disregard that one. But what I want to say about menopause is all of us are going to go through it if we reach that age and that stage. And our hormones are fluctuating no matter. You can eat very, very well, but you're still going to, it's inevitable, going to happen. There's foods that are going to support this process, but I also want to say to people, I'm very much a proponent of saying you want to get your hormone levels checked. You want to get them checked. I'm going to say this, and then I'm not going to say anything more about this particular topic because it's not really my area of expertise, but I want to put this in your mind that blood work may not be the only and best way to get your hormone levels checked. Look into urine and saliva because they can give you, as our hormones fluctuate throughout the day, can give you more of what's going on. I think with the blood work, it just is at that time. So I wanted to say that because if we don't get our hormones checked, we really don't know exactly what's going on. And when it comes to our hair, one of the symptoms or side effects of this changing hormone, circus is hair loss. It is hair loss. And we obviously don't want that. We want our hair to grow full. We know there's several reasons that we experience hair loss, but that change in those hormones is one of them.
Right.
So if you're saying, well, I'm doing all the things I think that I should be doing, but my hair is not as it should be, I want you to make sure you're eating these foods that I mentioned, but also getting your hormones checked because there is such a thing as hormonal balance or restoration. That is that exist. So any questions before I jump into these foods?
No, that's excellent. So just like, I have my pen, I have my notepad. I might jump in with a couple questions.
Yes,
But...
jump in. Jump in. So I'm going to start off with, and they're in no particular order, but the first one is flaxseed.
Okay.
Now, let me tell you about flaxseed. So flaxseed does a lot of things, but when it comes to us as women, it's called a phytoestrogen. I'm not going to get too technical into all these different terms and all of that, but it helps with our estrogen balance. So when we take flaxseed, again, it helps with our estrogen balance, and helping with our estrogen balance overall helps our body, our hair, our everything. Flaxseed is also really good in fiber. And when our bowels are moving properly, then it's taking out toxins and things that we don't need stored in there. So flaxseed is really good for the estrogen, for the fiber, and then it has some omegas. So everything that I'm going to mention is multifaceted. It does a lot of things to the body, and that's why I'm calling them the superfoods, right? For your hair, superfoods for our pause phase. What I want you to know about flaxseed is that they're best taken ground and refrigerated. You want to keep them in your refrigerator. And then people are going to say, well, how much should I take? I personally take 2 tablespoons a day, and I have a smoothie every day. And that's how I get them in. You can put them in oatmeal. You can put them in salads. You can do all kinds of think of other creative ways to use it, but daily, daily, and it just does good. It's also a support for our cholesterol and our blood sugar, which as this pause phase happens, that's when us as women, we are more likely then to start having all these other ailments, higher blood pressure, higher cholesterol, higher blood sugar. So all of this is combating what our body is trying to do. So flax.
Okay.
Refrigerated, ground.
Now, so do you have to keep the flax seeds that are not ground in the refrigerator, or once they're ground? Or
so I don't use, well, if they're in their seeded form, so like if they're in the bag, it's so once because I don't grind them myself. So I actually have them, they're already ground, but once you crack them open and get the air, then that's when you want to get them in the refrigerator. Yes. So you're asking me if they're just whole seeded. That's what when you get them in the grocery store, that's how they are.
They're sitting on the shelf. Right. Because my dad gave me like a big old. And when I grind them, I put them in the refrigerator, but I didn't realize I needed to put them. I probably should put them in the refrigerator because I've opened the bag.
Yes. So once they're open and exposed, then do that. But definitely once you have grinded them, then put them in the refrigerator. Have them in like an airtight container. In there. So your flaxseed. So all of y'all listening, your flaxseed. The second food is avocado.
I love avocado.
Yeah. So avocado, and no, people don't think about avocado for fiber, but avocado is full of fiber. It's also full of magnesium, which we need as women, and then good fat. Now, the question people ask, and I always answer this, is how much avocado? Right? I love avocado. How much isn't too much? So you can eat a small avocado a day. Now, if it's a big one, then half. But a daily avocado, and I will mostly give you ideas because I know people will say, well, where do I put an avocado? And salads. You can even put them in a smoothie. It makes it creamier. Put it on a sandwich. I eat avocado by itself with just tomatoes with a little bit of salt and pepper. But an avocado a day is so good, again, for the balancing of our female parts and all the other nutrients that we need in our bodies.
That's good. I love avocados. Plus there's guac.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I like avocado toast.
Yes.
And all of the foods that I mentioned, you could legitimately take all these foods and make a huge salad with them.
I was literally that was my mind was already there. I was like, I think I'm going to do, because I've done that before. Now I've also used avocado with tuna, right? So instead of the mayo, using the avocado there. So anyway, I'm trying to.
So just think about this as you all go to the grocery store. Just write these things down and just put these in your basket on a regular basis. So when I'm at the store, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm avocado. This is in my cart every week. So it's this. Sometimes those avocados get too expensive, but that's a sidebar.
Yeah.
But I try to put them, keep them always in the rotation.
Right.
And the next food would be leafy greens. So leafy greens. What are leafy greens? So leafy greens help to pull out the estrogen that doesn't belong, because there's some of the estrogen that's not serving us. So it just helps with the estrogen that's good to keep it that way and take out what doesn't belong. Leafy greens would be your chard, your kale, your spinach, your greens, so collard greens, mustard greens. Spinach is high in iron, and iron, it supports the hair. So, and also cabbage is a leafy green. Every day that you can possibly have leafy greens, the better. That is they are just the best. Like, again, for your hair, for everything. And as I said, again, a big salad every day would do it. I love to, when I'm, and I told you about this before, I grow food inside of my home, but I pick off of it the leafy greens every day, and I'm putting them in something. Even if I don't have a salad, I'm putting them inside of my food. So your leafy greens. Next on the list would be, tofu. Soy. So soy is known in its better form, so not the processed soy, but if you're using like tofu and edamame, is known to help with women's health and to support hot flashes. Some people do not like tofu with the texture and all of those things. I'll eat it if someone else makes it, but it does help with that. And then it is iron rich. Tofu is iron rich, yes, and it supports, again, our hot flashes. So edamame with like the little snacks, you can use it that way. But just soy, I actually take soy daily in a protein powder. But this is the thing, you have to have really high quality soy, y'all, really high quality. There's some technicalities about that. I won't go into that, but if it's not high quality or organic, then you don't really want to food with that. But otherwise, high quality soy really helps.
Right.
Next on the list.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Can I go back to the leafy greens? Because someone had left a message on another video. I can't remember. Anyway, but they were asking about the greens and just wanting clarification on if it's okay to cook the greens versus eating them raw. Like, are you losing a significant amount of nutrients? Does it matter? Or is it just get them? Any thoughts around cooking versus raw?
Yeah. So raw is better. And the less we cook them, the more alive they are when they're in its raw form. So that is true. However, collard greens, you want them cooked with something in there. So you're still getting them. You don't lose all the nutrients. You just have more of the nutrients when they're raw. So you got to figure out what you're willing to do, meaning you're like, okay, only way I'm going to get these leafy greens is if I cook them. Then that's the way you should have them. And if you're willing to get them raw, then do it that way. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
That's a great question. Yes. And the next was cruciferous vegetables. So the cruciferous vegetable family would be your Brussels sprouts, which my husband hates. And I love Brussels sprouts.
Me too.
I do. But ones that are more popular would be, or more common, with broccoli or cauliflower. And I have cauliflower so much, roasted cauliflower. I like buffalo, like instead of buffalo wings, buffalo cauliflower. There's a lot of things that you can do with cauliflower. So those are the cruciferous vegetables, again, helping with the estrogen balance, helping with the fluctuations that are going on in our body. So cruciferous vegetables. Okay. Then next on the list would be berries. So I'm saying blueberries, but there's raspberries, there's strawberries, there's all of that. But what the blueberries do is it's an antioxidant. So that is helping to fight off all the stuff that's trying to get us, right? And so it helps to actually protect our hair follicles.
Mm.
And when your hair follicles are protected, then it grows better. So it protects our body as well as our hair follicles against damage.
Mm-hmm.
That is your berries. There's also like elderberry. There's all the spectrums of berries. Blueberries, if you get them frozen, and because when they're frozen, they have more of the nutrients in it generally, and
Mm-hmm.
then keep them frozen in your, your freezer.
Mm-hmm.
Pull them out, put them in your smoothie, your salads. But berries, all the berries, but I'm speaking like of blueberries because that's like the most common berry,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that helps to protect your hair follicles.
Mm-hmm.
Berries. And then I'm not even good at counting because I think I'm on number 7.
7. I think 7.
You're good. So chia seeds and pumpkin seeds, I'm putting them in the same family. So the
Okay.
seed family, which also the flaxseed, but I wanted flaxseed to have its own mention.
Mm-hmm.
But pumpkin seed and flaxseed are really good, and sunflower seeds too.
Mm-hmm.
But chia is very high in omega, so it's good for our brain. Your pumpkin seeds have the magnesium. Again, all of these, the magnesium is beneficial to us as women for the pause
Mm-hmm.
phase. And then you have your pumpkin seeds, which is good for zinc, for the hair, and they do amazing things. So
Mm-hmm.
your chia seeds. So I like to make chia seed pudding, and it's very simple. It's basically almond milk or nut milk and
Mm-hmm.
chia seeds. So I use 2 or 4 tablespoons of the seeds, put them in
Mm-hmm.
the almond milk, and let them sit in the refrigerator overnight. And then what I end up doing is putting a little bit of honey in there, or you can
Mm-hmm.
put stevia just to sweeten it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like a dessert to me.
Mm-hmm.
Keep my sweet tooth under control, and it's doing all these other powerful things to the body. I don't put chia seed in my salad, but you can. It's good for smoothies.
Yeah, I use it in smoothies. I actually saw a physician say about the chia seeds, like to not eat them raw
Mm.
because I think there's like the diverticulitis or there's things
Yes,
that
yes.
so like to not eat them. I'm not giving medical advice, y'all. I'm just saying what
No.
I saw around the
Yeah, but for those who have diverticulitis, you're recommended no seeds a lot of
right,
times
right,
to
right,
prevent that. And as I said, as I go through this list, you're going to hear things you're like, okay, I can't eat those things.
right,
So that's why I want to make sure that I have a variety so you can pick. And then some of it, you just don't like it.
right.
It's like, I don't like that. But you hear you do like. Also, going back to the chia seeds is very high in calcium. And so as
Mm,
our estrogen does all the things that it does, that
mhm,
affects our bone health. And those chia seeds with the calcium is supporting our bone health.
I
So
did not know that.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool.
Because people think that, so with calcium, my recommendation, opposed to taking like calcium supplements, because that's a whole nother conversation, but you have to look, I would urge you to look into the dangers of calcium supplements. So
Mm,
the best way to get your calcium is through your diet, and you can get enough. That's not a thing that we're deficient in. You
okay.
can get enough from your diet, and then the dietary calcium is what needs to get to your bones for the strengthening of our bones. The other part of strengthening our bones is actually weight bearing exercises and vitamin D. So
Mhm,
calcium, vitamin D with K, and then the weight bearing exercises is what strengthens our bones, as well as all these other foods, because all the foods that I'm mentioning are giving you life instead of
mhm.
taking it away and giving you inflammation. All of these are like must
That's
have dailies. The next one is Greek yogurt. So some of us don't do dairy, and I'm actually easy. I don't do a lot of dairy, but I do Greek yogurt plain,
mhm,
plain, because if you get the kind that's flavor, you're going to take in a lot of
mhm,
sugar. The plain one, I actually add raw honey to it
mhm,
and strawberries, and that's another one of my sweet treats. But the benefit of the Greek yogurt, if you do dairy,
mhm,
is several. It's good for your gut health. So it
mhm,
has probiotics in there. It's calcium rich. It has zinc in there, the hair, and then it's rich in protein. So Greek
mhm,
yogurt does a lot of good for our body. And then you can also use it in place of like sour cream or other
mhm.
that you can be creative in using. I just had some Greek yogurt before we got on here with the strawberries and
Right,
all.
right.
So Greek yogurt.
So I'm thinking, and this is just a conversation too. Like, so I'm really I cut dairy out completely.
Yeah, I did too at one
I
point.
did, but the last week or so, even given some of the conversations I've had with other, physicians and thinking through it, and especially now that I believe my gut is in a healed
Mm-hmm.
spot, that I think I'm gonna dip my toe back into Greek yogurt that's lactose free.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's the benefit of the protein is
Yes.
at this stage. So I'm gonna test it and see. I'll be able to tell immediately because it'll my stomach. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna test it out and see.
And people will ask, like, okay, so what's wrong with dairy? And I'll say this, and nothing's wrong with it in this way. So something's wrong or right. So some of our bodies are just intolerant of lactose. We just don't digest it well. So if you're having dairy, you might have bloated and those kind of issues. So for that, it's really individualized. Like, when I eat this food, is it causing me issues? So that's one thing about dairy. And then the other part of it is that how our food is produced.
Right.
With this the way that the food industry is giving us our food, it may not be in its cleanest form. So for that, it can create some issues internally. So I stopped doing dairy for a very, very long time. However, as recently, because I'm in the pause phase, I did add Greek yogurt and Greek yogurt doesn't make me bloated. Sometimes you have to like look at the way the cost and the benefits, the pros and the cons. And so Greek yogurt is pretty much the only dairy. Well, I'm gonna say this: it's the only dairy that I do regularly at this point. And now and then, I might put a little bit of cheese on something.
Yeah.
Every now and then, because right? Just
Right.
a little bit of cheese, and there it is. So, but generally speaking, I weighed the facts and I said, okay, Greek yogurt, the benefits outweigh, and I'm not bloated, and doesn't cause me any problems. So I did add that back into my being. Because again, it's good for us in that pause space of life, because we need protein more than ever.
Right.
When we were younger, our bodies were more forgiving and we could do more things and get away with it. But now your body's like, you're at this big age, you got to be a little bit more conscious of what you're doing. And so the protein helps our muscles and our metabolism and all of those things. And maybe you don't always want to eat meat or all the things that, so Greek yogurt gives you an option to get that protein. I'm always going to be an advocate of making sure that whenever you're eating protein rich foods. So, which brings me to the next two foods. So the next one is beans. It's number 9. Beans are full of fiber. Beans are full of zinc, certain beans, protein. It is a plant-based, just a goodness, right? The protein is beans and carbs. And I mentioned, I think I said it's zinc. You can find zinc in there. So that, again, supports our hair. So beans are wonderful. And then the next one, and some people are not familiar with quinoa. And they look at it and it's spelled, they think it's a quinoa, but it's quinoa. And quinoa, so let me tell you, quinoa is a grain, and it's interesting because it's very, very high in protein, and it has all of the amino acids that a typical protein-rich food would have if it were meat. So it has all of these 9 things that our bodies need, and those amino acids help with the hair follicles. So protein-rich foods helps us with our hair follicles, and quinoa being one of those protein-rich foods that also help with strengthening the hair follicles. It looks like it's rice-ish. Have you ever had quinoa before?
I do. I was going to tell you how I make it too.
Oh, okay, good.
So I do, and I don't do it all the time. Like, I'm not a regular with it because it took me a minute to get used to the texture.
Yes.
Like, I didn't like it at first, quite frankly, but then I saw all the benefits of it. So I've had it a couple ways. I've made it with oatmeal.
Oh.
So I've added it so that masks the texture a little bit.
Okay.
So I made it that way, and I made a sweet or a savory oatmeal. That's one way I've done it. The other way that I like doing it is how I like make couscous, but like with some some walnuts rather, some dried unsweetened cranberries, some shallots. Like I'll saute all that up and cook the quinoa in a chicken broth type thing.
Yes.
And then add the seasoning and the spices to it that way. And the thing is that I love about it, you don't need a lot to get you don't have to eat like a bowl of, a big bowl. You can do a half a cup, a quarter cup, and be
good to
nutrient dense.
I like the way you said that you just understood the benefits, because sometimes it's like, this is just good for me, so I'm going to have it because it's good for me. And the way that I like it is actually in salad form. So I make a quinoa salad. So I cook the quinoa and then I refrigerate it overnight, and it's cold. And when it's cold, because quinoa's kind of mushy.
Yeah, that's a weird.
So when I make it as a salad, when it's cold, it gets harder. Think about like hard rice, but it's just different. But it's soft, but it's not as mushy.
I'm gonna try that.
And then I add tomatoes, green onions, olives, basil. So I make it this huge salad, and you can even put a little beans in there just to spice it up a little bit. And sometimes I add feta cheese in there, and then drizzle it with olive oil and balsamic. And I really, really, really enjoy that. And I can just eat that as a whole meal. I like it better cold than hot. Now that I'm thinking about it, I prefer it as a salad. I do.
That's really good advice.
You got to try it and tell me.
I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it because I got some in the house now. I'm going to try that. I never thought it. I don't know. Okay. Thank you.
Try it. And those of you that are listening, when you try it, just put a comment down here and let us know what you thought.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've never tried it as like an oatmeal or anything like that. So I need to try it that way. Right. But quinoa
is a good one. Well, I was going to say too, this is a good time. I should have said this earlier. Like if you use these foods, leave your favorite recipe, or leave your favorite recipe in the comment section for the rest of us. So any of these foods, let us know how you use it so we can all share what we love, and then we can all have more ideas. So
yes, we need more ideas. So quinoa, and then I have last 2 or 3. So nuts, so cashews, almonds, pecans. So pecans are full of zinc. You have the cashews that have zinc and magnesium. So all of these nuts are nutrient rich, support the hair, support us in so many ways. The question is, how many nuts should I have? So the rule of thumb, I would say like a handful, right? So, but a fourth of a cup you wouldn't go wrong. Now, a fourth of a cup is really, really tiny. It's so tiny. We could eat nuts and just, oh my goodness, just good.
Especially cashews.
Yeah, I really like, and I really do measure out my cashews, because otherwise I might just sometimes grab a handful, but I could tear up some cashews. I really can tear them up. So I really measure them. My favorite thing is to have like a cashew, a banana, and a protein shake. That's like just like protein with the almond milk and the powder, and the cashews and a banana. That is like my snack. So nuts, y'all. Nuts.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask you a question?
Yep.
So for pecan, so there was this brand, I think it's called, I don't know, I can't remember the name of the brand, but they had this snack, and it was pecans and dried cranberries, and it was it had obviously some sweetener in it, and then it had like black pepper in it, right? So I wanted to recreate it, right? But my question is, because it would be black pepper, a little bit of sea salt, the pecans, the dried cranberries, and maybe some dried blueberries, unsweetened, right?
Okay.
So, but my question is it okay? Which I think is to use like a little bit, a drizzle of either the raw honey or maple syrup as the sweetener, just to help it kind of crunch up a little bit? Or
so I'll answer it this way, and this is the truth answer. So when you're adding the honey to, anytime you're adding honey, if you're adding honey to the Greek yogurt or anything that you're adding it to, you're going to be adding sugar, right? Period. So if you are managing or watching your blood sugar, which we are to a certain extent, but if you're diabetic, you want to just be mindful of that. And the dried cranberries, even if they're unsweetened, it's when the drying process brings the sugar forth more.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more carbs and sugar.
Mm-hmm.
So taste wise, wonderful. It's all good in that regard. Just be mindful of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That would be the answer to that. Just be mindful. But that sounds really good. And when you said the black pepper, I'm like,
Well, because it adds a little punch to it. I remember getting
yeah,
like, oh, I can make this at home.
that sounds good.
Just a hint of
Black pepper.
because the Trader Joe's organic cranberries, the unsweetened,
Uh-huh.
a quarter cup has 21 grams of
Yes.
fiber.
Oh, fiber. Yes. Very fiber. Yeah. Fiber. Yeah.
Fiber. Yeah.
And again, fiber, y'all, if I'm going to say this, if y'all are not having us, okay, so whenever you eat, having a bowel movement, not immediately right then, but in close proximity. So every time you eat, having a bowel movement that is solid, meaning that you're getting out, and it's not like that meal, it's digestive. So I'm not going to get into the whole digestive process, but the bottom line is every time you eat, however many times a day you eat, that's how many bowel movements you want to have. And when I say that, people are like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me right now? They're shocked about that. But just think about it. If you ate and you didn't have a bowel movement, where did the waste go?
Mm-hmm.
It's being reabsorbed into your cells. So you want to get it out. I'm going to put this out there just because I'm going to say this. I fast daily. So
Mm-hmm.
as a part of my menopause strategy is I intermittent fast. So I don't eat as frequently or as much as I used to back when I was the other me, the younger me, because I know that that's helping with all this fluctuation. But anyway, get your fiber in. That was the point of that.
Okay.
And make sure you're having your bowel movements. And all these foods that I'm mentioning support all of those. The leafy greens, the flax, the beans. If you're getting these foods into your diet, then your bowel movement should take a up level in that way. So the last two foods I want to mention, actually, I'm going to mention salmon. Salmon it has so many things going on with the omegas, and it's a protein and it has iron and all of those things. That in itself, untampered with salmon, is really awesome. But the reality is that we have all this chaos when it comes to the authenticity of how it's delivered to us. So I'm not going to get into that. But wild caught or not and all that, you got to do your own research on that one. But salmon, if not food with, is really, really good for us. But then we just have to make sure that we're getting it in the highest quality. So that you have to really take your due diligence in what you're getting. And then the last, I don't even know if this is, well, it's not food, it's water. So the last one on the list is actually water, but a mineral water. A mineral water is rich in minerals, and one of them is calcium. So as I mentioned before, as pause people, and I say pause, which is perimenopause, all that pause. The pause is that the mineral water is calcium rich, and we need that calcium for our bones. So if you're going through the day and you're thinking, I don't know if I'm getting enough calcium, then having your mineral water as your beverage of choice will give that to you when you are. I have this program, and I created a menu that's all sketched out to make sure that it's balanced for calcium and magnesium and all of those things. So because sometimes it's like, am I getting enough of this or that? How do I know? And so when I created the menu, there's some times where there's mineral water on the menu because maybe that meal that was structured wasn't calcium rich enough. So that's why I see mineral water. And in some of the menu options, you see dark chocolate because maybe how much I like, and I eat it every day because dark chocolate is really high in magnesium. I didn't mention this on the list. I gave you enough foods in there, but the dark chocolate. So when I did the meal plan, I just made sure that all of the foods that we needed, all the categories were touched every time you ate so that you knew that you were getting all of those foods. But that's the list. So it was 13 foods. So listeners, if you missed them, you got to go back or be in the show notes or however that works. But I just encourage you to get them into your diet daily as much as you possibly can. And as you do that, let us know how that works. And I am going to put a plug in there. So if you need more support when it comes to the nutrition side, I do have a program called the Necessary Nutrition Pause Plan that sketches all of this out for you over a month's time so that you have a roadmap as to what to do, how much, and all of those things. And then I'm there to support you on that journey, because people have obviously individual questions. What about this for me?
Right.
So that's what the pause plan does. And then I didn't mention vitamin D because I really was talking about the specific superfoods, but vitamin D is one of those vitamins that, unlike all the other ones, you don't get adequate amounts from your food. Magnesium, magnesium we still need, and a lot of us as this age can benefit from supplementing, but we can get it from food. Calcium is that you can get it from food, all these other ones. Vitamin D, though, you can get it in some foods. Where you get it from the most is in the sun, which is not where we are. And so that is one of those supplements that I am always like saying.
Right.
So I think I went through the list, Lynn.
You did amazing. And I think what I love about it is that I was thinking about the person who might feel, I think there's some people who like, I get it, I'm already doing it. And kudos to you. There are some who might also on the other end feel extremely overwhelmed. And like, I can't do this is 13. I got this going on. So I would encourage you, just take the next right step. Maybe just buy some avocados this week, right? Just do one thing and build your way to it. And then there's also the person who I think about who will greatly benefit from working with you, right? And so you need a partner, you need a coach. And that's the beauty of all of us putting our gifts out in the world, is that we don't have to go alone. You don't have to do this alone. And Robin has a resource there. So I think just an amazing source of information and support and encouragement to everyone.
You know, you said something I want to say. If a person was like, okay, this list of foods, there's 13 of them. Like, if I could tell you the 3, if you couldn't do, you just was like, there's 13 of them. Which one do I do first? I actually would say start with a flaxseed, because that, again, you could put in the smoothie. So I'm going to give you 3. If you couldn't, 13 of them or 12 of them or 10 of them is too much, go with those flax seeds, those leafy greens, and those berries. Those are, they're all so important, right? Don't leave any of them out. But if you were like, okay, next week when I go to the store, I'm going to make sure that I get me some kale or some arugula. I'm going to get my beans. I'm going to get me some berries, and I'm going to get me some flaxseed, and then I'm going to make a smoothie with that.
Right.
I'm going to start with that. Yes. Start with that. Yeah. Start with that.
That's good. That's good. Any other closing words? Any other closing tips you have for anyone?
I would say this health journey, this hair journey, this menopause journey, this life journey is nowhere near a straight line. All of us know that, but we have to always give ourselves grace. It's like riding a mechanical bull. We're trying to stay on, and we fall off, and we also forget. So I would always say, stay plugged in, because I've been doing this for 16 years. And whenever I read this list, I'm like, oh yeah, let me go eat some beans. Like every time I'm like, oh, I forgot to eat.
Right.
So stay plugged in. And I would say, eat well, think well, and be well, and just be prayerful and stay around people that give you good energy.
Right.
That's my parting words.
That's awesome. And my one just small little addition to that is gratitude.
Yes.
And we have all of the things that she shared were like, these are all gifts to us. And so as we're eating, as we're making, as we're shopping, let's continue to walk in gratitude for the things that we actually have at our disposal that can support our health and our healing. So
it's funny because I'm like, why did you almost make me cry? And I say this because, you just hear things, but the part about gratitude is life is so heavy for all of us. And there's days where all of us, we get up and we're just truly not in the mood. We just wake up not
Yes.
doing well. And I always say, because sometimes I want to put my feet on the ground and just list out all the problems, but I've trained myself to, a tear just dropped in my eyes, to
Mhm.
just take out my pen and I write down what I'm grateful for. And I swear, as sure as my name is Robin, once I write down what I'm grateful for, I have forgotten somehow what I was getting up about to be upset about. Now I remember later.
Yes.
I remember.
Yes.
But in that moment, it's like the gratitude just took over.
Over.
And
Yes.
in that moment, I had peace. In
Right.
that moment, I had peace.
And
So
I just want to, I had a situation. I mean, this whole season for our life has been
it's been a
challenging.
situation, right?
It's been a situation, the whole
Yes.
season, right? For many of us, like it doesn't, like we might be on this video talking and sharing, and at the same time we are going through it.
Yeah.
And to your point, where I remember I was just a couple weeks ago, just stuff going in my brain at night, and normally I can fall asleep pretty quickly, but I just started down a negative kind of spiral. And I'm like, what is going on? And literally, I was just like, you know what, Lord, thank you for this. Thank you for this bed. Thank you for this blanket.
Yes.
Thank you, small thing. And I'm not kidding you. It's like something flipped in my brain.
Yeah.
And I was able to get to sleep. And it doesn't, and it's, I think sometimes what happens is our problems can become so big that if we're not careful, they become bigger than God. They become idols.
Yes.
And we don't worship our hair as an idol. We don't worship our problems as an idol. We don't worship our money problems we worship God. And the gratitude, I think, helps. God knew what he was doing. Look at me.
Yep. Keep your eyes. Yeah.
I was thinking, anyway, so we went in a whole other direction, but maybe this is necessary.
True. And somebody needed to hear it.
Yeah.
Because it's not like we're just saying these things. Life be life for all of us,
right.
And we do that very thing. It's just
right.
like, and then you just, when you realize what you have to be grateful for, you like, okay, these problems, they come and they go.
Right. And they exactly. And I always this is a verse that there's, you know how things come in different contexts, but I think of all these things that you just shared, all these foods, all these anti-inflammatory, these foods that are literally healing our bodies. The word says he prepares a table before us in the presence of our enemies. Yes. So he gives us all this abundance in the midst of our troubles. The troubles don't run us. Anyway, so
you gotta stay plugged in, because the troubles and all the things that are trying to divert us.
Yes.
That's the thing. You got to keep your focus on keep the main thing. So.
Yes. Well, thank you.
The inspiration up here. Shoot. Yes.
We got enough to go on. We can go on. Yeah. Live well, live less, nourish your crown, and I'll see you in the next video.